yeah, hugely disappointed and borderline unacceptable. I think certainly for me it's probably a low point, obviously in terms of the result, but just the endeavour and application that went within that, huge amount of individual mistakes, but just off task with a lot of things in terms of not being able to get into any shape, which we knew would cause Connacht some defensive trouble, but we haven't respected the ball or the opposition well enough to do so.
I guess you did see Justin and Paul James and people like that coming back, so possibly that is one positive that you can take out of it. Yeah,
we looked to be going stronger as the game went on, and there was a little bit of impact. And there's, I don't know, top of my head, there's probably half a dozen. There's certainly a lot of forward players who've put a lot into that game as well, with little rewards. But beyond that, the tackle contest was an area that we had troubles with in the first half. But it got better second half, but that's because the issue became just ball retention full stop in terms of the amount of errors that took place.
So what was going wrong, Gruff, with your ball retention? Why are you losing so much ball?
I think we're seeing sometimes with this group that they can't take a breath and take it as an 80-minute game. I think they want to make something happen immediately and force something. Whereas the reality is, we said this game could go to the last quarter, and you've got to prepare, be patient with your patterns and how you stretch the opposition to get different opportunities as the game goes on.
Is that down to lack of experience?
Yeah, there's certainly rawness there, but there's also lack of cohesion, and that's something we've got to look at. That we're creating some good dents from some of our first phase, second phase attack, and then forcing something on third. So you don't really get to where you want to, where you can pick on that mismatch that you plan to in the Connacht defence, but we didn't get to that point. And some of the calling within our phase play lacks vision, and often then we go into our individual moments again.
Pretty strong words that you've said there in terms of saying it was borderline unacceptable. Have there been some harsh words to the players as well?
Yeah, there has, and that's reflected in Steve's words to the group after, that they've got to realise they're accountable, and we prepare with the best will in the world. We talked all week about the tackle area being a huge area for us, and the first half it causes 17 problems, regardless of the officiating or not. We're not dealing with that area particularly well. And then you address some stuff half time, you get a little bit more purchase there, but then other parts of your game fall down, and that becomes, as I said, team cohesion can be unstable at times, but the individuals within that have got to realise there's some schoolboy errors in there, and that's difficult to take, but we must as coaches, we're accountable, and we've got to keep driving this group to the standards that we require going forward to the champions next week.
Was today indicative of the start of the season? 4 defeats from 5?
To a certain degree, I think we spoke about the fixtures, and other sides, Connacht in particular, being well resourced, and I'd said that in the week in terms of what tough opponents they were. But this feels slightly different in that I think we're wholly accountable for our own errors there, and that's not an opposition thing, regardless of my respect for Connacht. But I think it's probably a lower point than other games, because we were probably outmanned in certainly a couple of those first 3 games, and this one we weren't outmanned, we were just outthought and outfought.
Gruff, are you confident that Sam can get his kick in sorted, pretty rapidly?
Yeah, I've known the boy since he's a young age, and I've always seen the prodigious boot and how good a goal kicker he is. This is his probably first blip, and you see it with players. It's never linear in general play, and often with people around the skill development. So this is his first sort of setback and challenge. So he and we have got to work our way through that from a skills perspective and tie that into his and our general game as well.
Next week, are you expecting to have your Wales boys back, the likes of Ali Wynne and Dan Bigger?
We've got to consider that. There's no doubt about that in terms of performances, players being accountable for that performance, and obviously top players coming back to the fold, potentially being available. But again, go back to what I said in the week, we've got to work out this block of games and these individual players as well. But obviously a result like this puts us again behind the races, So we may need to go to those type of players, but it's always a go-to for us, and we're probably waiting for other players to step up and fill boots, but we haven't done that yet in this block.
Can those guys start, or would you sort of look to bring them off the bench and do it that way?
I think if we're looking for immediate impact and go into a, no tougher place than Scottstown, you probably want your better players on the field, and that'll be certainly the aim. How we review this game in terms of which players were slightly awry and why, coach our way through that, but then look at other solutions in the squad. And obviously there might be ready-made ones, but there's a bigger argument then around whether the player's ready or not, and where that fits the Zebra game the following week, and of course Exeter the week after that.
Marfufi, when are people likely to see him on the field?
Probably the second block of European games, I think, would be realistic.
Is he sort of still recovering from that injury, or is there a conditioning thing?
Bit of both, recovering from the injury, and there is a conditioning element. And I think often with these type of injuries, we've got to be patient with it as well. We're not expecting immediate world-class player coming in. We're someone who's going to have to work his way through our systems, understand what we do, and then build him up off the field as well.
Pat Lam was saying that the top four is still on for you. Do you sort of share that optimism?
I think we've got to. I mean, we do, believe by and large in what we're working with here. We know, as I said, we've been undermanned compared to other opposition, but that's no excuse for today's game. If we don't address some of our technical deficiencies today, some of the structural parts of the game where we didn't get to, what we'd identified on the training field, well, we won't be anywhere near that top four. I think if we can approach each individual game and take some of the thought process behind the prep and the application of the small details onto the field, we'll give ourselves a chance in any game, but at the moment we're not.
Good to have Paul James back, second stint at the club.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a presence about him. There was obviously some good set-piece stability through the game, and he added to that as he came on. But he's also got a few ball carries in, and one of the few, he's looked after the ball in contact areas as well, and we've got some speed of ball off there. But he's fitted in really well. Obviously, things have been tweaked over this 3 years away in how we play, but he understands the thought processes on what we're trying to put on the field. And it's not far removed from what he's done nationally or with Bath before, but so he'll be a big player for us.
What other pluses did we see there, Gruff?
I think, to be fair, to keep on the back, the set-piece game has developed well over this period. Rory Thornton's becoming a man, the way he's leading our line-out and putting pressure on opposition line-out. So that that's pretty pleasing. Again, crumbs of someone like James King, I thought, had a hugely energetic performance. Some of his defensive work rate was excellent. And likewise, Sam Parry and one or two others. Underhill is continuing to learn his trade, but was the forefront of some of our play in the first half in particular. But
did a good first half.
Yeah, he did, and Baker did what he did. He shrugged off tackles. We got him into areas where we did create a couple of opportunities. But I think, huge perhaps to the areas around the forward play, but I'm struggling behind the scrum.
Why is that then? Why is your back play, why is it not igniting then?
We're a bit naive on some parts of our attack. We plan, like most sides, to play backs on forwards, and then for some reason we go and strike in the wrong areas, backs on backs, and we put pressure ourselves then in wider channels. We're not identifying some of our patterns that gives us backs on forwards, or even in that moment being able to see things effectively. And often our outside players have got to see and be alive to those opportunities and connect to our 10-12, but we didn't today, and perhaps our 10-12 overdid some things as well today.